Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting for City Council for Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. I have a meeting announcement. All meetings are live streamed on the City Channel Pittsburgh YouTube channel. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Reverend Burgess?
Here.
Mr. Coghill?
Here.
Ms. Gross? Mr. Kraus? Mr. Lavelle?
Here.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Here.
Mrs. Warwick? Here. Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Here.
7 members present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. During the moment of silence, we ask that you keep our clerk, Kim Clark Baskin, and her family in your thoughts and prayers as her family is struggling through a tragedy that occurred this weekend. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Thank you. Our next order of business is to amend the agenda. Is there a motion to amend the agenda?
Second.
Thank you. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is amended. Thank you. And our next order of business is proclamations, and we have several to be presented. We'll begin with Councilman Wilson. Is he here? I thought I just saw him.
walked out.
Oh, I just saw Councilman. Okay. Then we'll start with... Do you want to do yours? You want to do yours later? Okay, then we'll start with, and Councilwoman Gross, is she online? No? No? Okay, then we'll begin with me. We'll have the Elliott futsal team, please come forward. The champs. And we're going to have you come all around here. And John Masalero, I see you in the back, get up here. How do you like it up here? Yeah?
Cool. Are you a judge?
Nobody let me be a judge, honey.
So why do you got a hammer on the face?
That's because I chair the meeting. I'll show you what we do, okay? Come up here, Luke. I just want to say we're with Luke Capruso, who my husband used to coach, and with Alex Folds, whose mother, if you anybody who used to be involved in Pittsburgh Public Schools, his mother ran the parent community engagement programs for all of Pittsburgh Public Schools and did an amazing job. Whereas Elliott West End Athletic Association, EWEAA, began a futsal club spearheaded by Luke Capruso and Alexander Fold. And whereas futsal is a fast-paced indoor soccer sport played with 5 players to a team and emphasizes skills development by using quick reflexes, swift thinking, and accurate passing. The game is often played by professional soccer players to refine and maintain their skills for the outdoor game. And whereas the Elliott West End Athletic Association Futsal Club includes a high school team, middle school team, and a grade school team who work closely together learning cooperation and sportsmanship. We could use a little bit of that around here. Thanks. And whereas for the past 10 years, Elliott West End Athletic Association's futsal teams have played in the annual City of Pittsburgh City Sports Futsal League. This year, Elliott West End Athletic Association's 8 and under, 12 and under, and 15 and under teams won their respective championships. The 8 and under and 12 and under teams were undefeated for the season, and the 15 and under team ended the season with only 1 loss. And whereas in the fall of 2023, Elliott West End Futsal Club is partnering with the Open Field. Is he here? Justin's not here? Okay. With Open Field, a Pittsburgh-based nonprofit association in the Southwest region. of Cameroon Africa Division, to create the greatest soccer community in the entire city out of District 2. Together, they are planning a soccer club to be held in the Mount Washington Recreation Center, thanks to John Masalero. He's over there. Thanks, John. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby congratulate the Elliott West End Athletic Association Futsal Club for a great season and commend them for creating an atmosphere that inspires our youth. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Tuesday, April 11th, 2023 to be Elliott West End Athletic Association's Futsal Club Day in the City of Pittsburgh. Can I have a motion in a second? To approve the second. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamation's approved. Hit that clock. Hit that. That's it. Thank you. I just want to say, if you've never heard of Open Field, they work with a lot of immigrants across the region, and they do an amazing job. They work with kids from Crafton Heights, but they also work with kids from Northview Heights, and just all over the city of Pittsburgh do an amazing job. And to have them partner with these guys is just amazing for our whole community. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Luke, and say a few words. Alex, you can say a few words. It takes me a second, okay?
I was going to say, can we introduce the players first?
Yeah, you can introduce. You want to say your names?
Sure.
Here, come say your names.
All right, my name's Julian.
What is it?
Julian.
Julian what?
Julian Halliday.
Okay, good. You have to say it. Okay. Well, I'll say your first and last names, okay? Go to the microphone. Go ahead.
My name's Liam Daisy.
Easy.
My name is Muhani.
You want to say your name?
Jackson Hyde.
Oh, wow. Jackson. Thanks.
Wesley Campbell Foltz.
I knew you were a Foltz.
I'm Alec.
I'm McKay Toman.
Anybody else?
Diodani.
Can you say it in the mic? You're a little bit taller than me.
Diodani.
Coach, player, Mazima Hagar.
Good job.
Joseph Preston.
Good job.
Gianluca Giorgi.
Charles Folds.
Now you want to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you. So first off, I want to thank Bessie Miller, Teresa Kill-Smith, and John for letting us use Reams Rec Center this year. With us expanding to the 8U program this year in the City Parks League, it was a big help to actually have a space. We used to operate out of the open door in Crafton Heights, and the facility was just way too small, and we expanded our program partnering with Open Field in the fall. And so getting that space definitely was a driving force for us to be this successful this year. Me and Alex been doing this now for 10 years together, and we just been going through it, finding space. But now that we have our homes in Reams Rec Center, thanks to John. Thank you again. If you want to come up real quick, you can. But we appreciate everything you've done for us this year, and we can't thank you enough. But like I said, I just wanted to thank Bessie Miller, John, and everyone. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate what Luke said. Thank you. Thank John. Thank Katrick, a Pitt student who's been very helpful in helping us, and Luke and the West End Elliott Athletic Association. They provide the funding, so all of these players get to play for free. So it was very helpful with the grant that they received, which we have coaches, players who are 19 ranging all the way down to 5. So we use a lot of mentorship where the younger ones learn from the older ones, sportsmanship, and just thank you all.
So yeah, I can't say anything more than what Luke and Alex have had to add, but these kids working with them over the past couple of months has been a great experience, and it's been fantastic to see them develop both as athletes, but also as great kids in the community as well, and we hope to see them continue to grow as fine individuals in the future.
Thank you. And they've been around 10 years, and it's taken me 10 years to say futsal. I'm going to say in Lebanese next time. Anyway, everyone want to come up and join us with the photo? Because I know you want to get it with all the council, right? Yeah? Want to come up?
Good job. Alex, nice job. What's up, kids? Have them squeeze.
John Masalero. I just want to say real quick, John Masalero runs Ream Recreation, which is now Mount Washington Recreation, and anytime we call him and say we need help with kids, he always steps up to the plate and receives very little funding from the city of Pittsburgh or from any public dollars. So I just want to say thank you, John, for everything that you do all the time. For kids across the area. You guys hold your proclamation? You guys hold it. That's it? Okay. Thanks, everyone. Here's another one. Thank you. Say thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Kim, in my office. Yeah. Thanks, John. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you all for everything you do. Councilman, they need an excuse for the people. Okay. Councilwoman Gross or Councilman Wilson? You both ready? You want to go first? And now we'll begin with We'll begin with Councilman Wilson's, I'm sorry, we'll move on to Councilman Wilson's proclamation. Wait until the kids leave, please. Calm down.
Wendy Miller's brought today, and there's like 30 people here for it.
All right, good morning, everyone. So I got to get better at that, the whole call and response. So good morning. We wanted to recognize that this week is National Community Development Week, and so what greater office to celebrate is the Community Development Office, the Community Development Block Grant Office. In the program that they run. So whereas the week of April 10th to the 14th, 2023 has been designated as National Community Development Week to celebrate the Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG. So everyone hears us say CDBG. That CDBG is Community Block Grant, Development Block Grant. Yeah, so we can have a pretty thorough discussion about how that's created and how the money is distributed from Kelly Russell. But whereas over the past 3 years, the city of Pittsburgh has received a total of $42 million in CDBG funds and has funded a variety of projects that have directly benefited our citizens and neighborhoods. And whereas over the past 3 years, Pittsburgh City Council and the Mayor's Office awarded over $4 million in CDBG funds to area nonprofits that provide vital public services to the Pittsburgh community. And now therefore be it resolved that the city of Pittsburgh designates the week of April 10th to the 14th, 2023 as National Community Development Week in support of this valuable program that has made tremendous contributions to the viability of the housing stock, infrastructure, public services, and the economic well-being of our city. And be it further resolved that the City Council of Pittsburgh urges the United States Congress and the Biden administration to recognize the outstanding work being done locally and nationally with CDBG by supporting increased funding for the program in FY 2024, fiscal year 2024. This, they're just full of acronyms here. So can we, that's it. Can we have a vote?
Okay, can we have a motion to approve in a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Proclamation is approved.
Thank you. So I'm going a little out of order. Usually I make some comments. I've been kind of talking whenever I want during this proclamation. But I just want to make some comments in terms of the CDBG office. It's always a pleasure working with this office, and quite frankly, when I came in about 3 years ago, it was a great meeting with. I know Whitney was there. Whitney Finstrom and Josh, were you there? I was not there. You weren't there? Okay. I was there in spirit. Kelly, were you there? You weren't there. Okay. So we have new faces, but all I can say is that there's been a pretty big overhaul in terms of the way things have been done so that we're more secure in how we can not only distribute funds and that we're more transparent with that, but also we're just really following the law. And there's no way, you're going to make sure there's no way we can lose these funds in the future, right? Yes. That's the most important thing because so many people benefit from these types of funds. And with that, I'd like to have the office come up and say a few words. Kelly Russell.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. So I know I just said thank you, but I'll publicly say thank you again for the proclamation. The Community Development Grant, now I can't talk. The Community Development Block Grant Program supports community development activities to build stronger and more resilient communities. Activities may address economic development projects, public facilities installation, community centers, housing rehab, public services, and homeowners assistance. The councilman just stated that in the proclamation that the city received $42 million in CDBG funds over the past 3 years, and that also over the past 3 years, city council and the mayor's office has distributed $4 million to area nonprofits to provide vital public services to the Pittsburgh community. I'd be remiss. Everybody always thinks of our office as just community development block grant funding, but we also have 3 other programs we're responsible for. ESG, Emergency Solutions Grant, which deals with those at risk of facing homelessness. HOPWA, Housing Opportunity Persons with AIDS, which really is just what the name is, Housing for Opportunities with Persons with AIDS. And then there's also the HOME program, and those funds are given to the URA, and they operate that program on behalf of the city. I just also like to spotlight 2 members of our office. Recently in February, we lost our Richard Malik Morris in our office. He was our community advocate. He came from the Larimer Consensus Group. He had a big commitment to the Pittsburgh community, and anytime Malik was our voice for the community, and anytime that we wanted to make sure we had a community input in our office, Malik was that individual who was the voice for the community. So you're missed, my friend, and we'll just continue to hold it down for you. Lastly, I'd just like to also recognize Amanda Rainier. She was supposed to have this opportunity last year. Things didn't work out for her, unfortunately, but I just wanted to spotlight her for all her work. And also, as you mentioned, Whitney Finstrom, who led this department, and unfortunately, he just recently left the city, but we could not have done this without Whitney Finstrom. And just last thing I'd like to mention, we're beginning our public meetings for the 2023 Annual Action Plan, and we have some meetings coming up Monday, April 17th, Monday, April 24th, and Tuesday, May 2nd, and you can check our website for all the details. Thank you again for this time and opportunity.
Could all members come up?
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have a proclamation to be presented by Councilman Kraus and then Woman Gross. Is she here? Yeah. Oh, you have another one? Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilman Wilson. It says,
Jerry and Dr. Allen. Jerry, you want to come up?
who's this for? It said it's to be read into the record. That's okay. That's okay.
So here we're here to celebrate Dr. Milton Allen, and on the north side, Jerry and Milton have done quite a bit for the north side and the Pittsburgh community in terms of advocating for and also providing services to our seniors and also really what's the name of the school? Chatham, yeah, Chatham. So Chatham wasn't open when I was a kid on the north side, but you know, basically you renovated this whole school. A lot of what we hope to still do with many of our schools that, you know, don't have the kids in there learning. You know, you took it on, and it's now, you know, owned by another owner, but there's so many. It provides so much to the community, and even the you know, the local high school, Perry High School, after school programs for Perry High School and everything. But you just kind of set that legacy that's going to continue, and I think we'll get to more of the, you know, the details of everything that both of you have been involved with to make the North Side such a wonderful place to live. And if you're wondering why I'm reading from a piece of paper, it's because we already officially presented it on Saturday, but wanted to make sure that we did it official in chambers as well. So whereas after graduating from high school, Dr. Allen received a Bachelor of Science in agronomy. I'll tell you what, that's the first time I've said that word. And a master's degree in plant and soil science from the historically black Tennessee State University, and later, Doctor of Philosophy degree in plant and soil science from the University of Pittsburgh. And whereas...
Tennessee, not Pittsburgh.
We got to change it. And Dr. Allen devoted 33 years to professional service in governmental agencies in Denton, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Knoxville, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Whereas in 2009, Dr. Allen and his wife Jerry founded Allen Place Community Services, a nonprofit that offers community health and wellness promotion programs and houses a senior citizen center on Pittsburgh's north side. And whereas Dr. Allen and his wife have sought to address the shortage of African American nurses in our region by providing scholarships through the Poise Foundation for interested students. Whereas Dr. Allen and his wife are now embarking on a new chapter in their lives, seeking to spend more time with their son Adrian and his wife Hong Allen, daughter Alicia, and husband Charles Robinson, and grandchildren Aiden, Milton James, Faith, Charles Julius, Gavin, and Lillian. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby recognize and celebrate the good works of the life of Dr. Milton Allen and declare Saturday, April 8th, 2023, to be Dr. Milton Allen Day here in our City of Pittsburgh.
We have a motion to approve in a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Proclamation's approved. Congratulations.
Dr. Allen, would you like to say a few words?
Good morning, people. Good morning. I'm pleased to be here today. I'd like to thank the City Council for approving this proclamation and Councilman Wilson for spearheading it. It's an honor for me to accept this award, and I did a few things, but my wife has been sponsoring most of the programs. My biggest thing was I just got old, and so we're glad that you could celebrate this 75th birthday. It's been blessed to be here all this time. I've had a stroke in diabetes and all that kind of stuff, but I'm still here. God bless you all.
Good morning to all of you, and we thank City Council and our representative, Honorable Bobby Wilson. He has worked with Milton and I to improve the lifespan of our community. When we moved to Pittsburgh 40 years ago, African American men, actually the life expectancy for the zip code of 15212, 15233, and 15214 was at about in the 60s to 70-year-olds because of environmental conditions, housing conditions, and other things. But we thank our city councilman for making improvements in our neighborhoods and listening to the things that we have brought to the table as we continue to pursue health and wellness programs. It's important that not where people live that determine how long they can live, but it is important that we listen and that things that are brought forth to City Council, that we consider all neighborhoods, that people don't have to live in a certain neighborhood to live longer. Thank you, Councilman Wilson.
And next we have Councilman Kraus.
Thanks, Madam President. I appreciate it. Thank you. Can everyone that's here for the Proc for Wendy Miller please come up? Don't be shy. There's a lot of you here. So this is it's a rather difficult day for our community. We lost a pioneer in the LGBTQIA plus community that I don't know that, please come up, that I don't know that we'll ever see the likes of again. You brought a picture, that's so great, thank you. We had offered this proclamation a few weeks back and had it read into the record. We knew that Wendy was not well and soon to enter hospice. But Wendy passed on Thursday. And right before we really had a chance to do it in a formalized way, which we had mentioned that day. Many of you know that I had a design business before I came to council. And Wendy was a framer, but not just any framer. She was the best framer, hands down, in the city of Pittsburgh. And all the design firms used Wendy, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the proc. But I was working for a gentleman at the time named Jim Miller who founded Toad Flax on Walnut Street, and so you understand sort of the quality of craftswomanship that Wendy was involved in, and she was a framer for Toad Flax and for Jim Miller. And that's when I personally had the good fortune to meet Wendy, and that had to be like 1988, something like that. So 35 years ago, something along those lines. So we want to recognize the passing today. We want to celebrate the life and recognize the passing of truly a cornerstone of our community, and let you know how much she was loved and appreciated, and how much she will be missed. So with that, I will begin to read the proclamation, and then I really would welcome anyone that would like to come up, say a few words, share some memories about Wendy with us. You're welcome to do so. So whereas Wendy Miller was born on July 14th, 1947 in Pittsburgh, PA, and earned a BFA in sculpture from Carnegie Mellon University, then known as Carnegie Tech, in 1972, and shared a life with her partner, Dorcas Evans Miller, and raised her son, Cooper Miller, born in 1982 in Pittsburgh. And whereas Wendy owned a framing business for 50 years, Miller Frame, which since February 14, 1982, operated in the East Liberty neighborhood, serving both small and large clients, including Fred Rogers, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, Willie Stargell, Bill Cower, and completed high-profile projects at the Federal Reserve, the University of Pittsburgh, UPMC, Carnegie Mellon University, Pittsburgh Public Schools, Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium, PPG, and Carnegie Museum of Natural History. And whereas Wendy employed predominantly transgender women, providing a rare opportunity for people's transgender community at a time due to discriminatory hiring practices, and Miller Frame was owned and operated for 30 years solely by this transgender woman. And whereas the frame shop served as a refuge and a center for transgender community life and activism, and whereas she served as president of TransPit, established in 1983, a support group for transsexual people and cross-dressers and their partners, and was co-founder of the Pittsburgh Transsexual Support Group, established in 1995, a nonprofit which focused on emotional, medical, and financial support for transsexual and transgender people, two of the earliest support groups for transgender people here in the Pittsburgh region. And whereas Wendy participated in the first National Congressional Transgender Lobby Day in Washington, D.C. in 1995 to advocate for language inclusivity of gender identity in the Employment and Non-Discrimination Act known as ENDA. And whereas in 1995 she worked as an ad hoc committee of the Pittsburgh Human Rights Commission to protect transgender and gender variant persons from discrimination in housing and employment, which in 1996 redefined the protective category sex to include those who are changing or have changed their gender identification, which now extends to Allegheny County and has been adopted by other communities here in the United States. And whereas in 1996, Wendy appeared as a guest on the Ricky Lake Show, then consulted as the Pittsburgh Transsexual Support Group for that episode. And whereas Wendy served as an inaugural appointee to the mayor's official LGBT advisory committee from 2009 to 2012, which served as the predecessor to the mayor's LGBTQIA+ commission. And whereas Wendy remained a supporter of numerous charitable institutions in the Pittsburgh community, donating framing to Prasad, to Animal Friends, the Heart Association, PFLAG, Pittsburgh Center of the Arts, and Pittsburgh's Artists League. And whereas she trained a new generation of picture framers who have gone on to work at institutions such as the Carnegie Museum of Art. And so now, therefore, be it resolved that this council of the city of Pittsburgh commends Wendy Miller for her personal grace, her strength and openness, and thanks her for her magnificent contribution to our LGBTQIA+ community. And be it further resolved that this council of the city of Pittsburgh does hereby declare today to be Wendy Miller Day here in the city of Pittsburgh.
We have a motion to approve in a second.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Proclamation is approved.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Our condolences to her family.
Would you like to begin? I don't know who to present this to, but I'm sure, and we would be happy to supply, it is so good to see you. Happy to supply additional copies to anybody who might wish to have a copy of their own, okay? But please come up, say what you would like. Maria, would you also go to make comment?
I'm Cooper Miller, Wendy's son. It's a privilege to be able to receive this proclamation honoring my parent, Wendy Miller. I'd like to thank City Council Member Kraus for sponsoring this proclamation, Sue Kerr and Raiden Sorock for laying the groundwork, and Marty Seltman of Metro Family Practice for his support over the years and in her final days. Forgive me if I forget to mention anyone. I'd also like to thank Mayor Gainey and City Council Member Strasburg for their statement on social media, as well as Maria Montano and Jim Shepard for their kind words. Thank you for the UPMC Center for Liver Disease for helping Wendy stick around for 2 more years after her prognosis. Thanks to Sue Orkovitz, Michael DeBalas, Fred and Lori from Paris 66, Tom Kashada and John Gogler for his editorial work and friendship. I'd especially like to recognize Elise DeLong for her work on the Human Rights Subcommittee, writing the original recommendation to protect transgender and gender variant folks from discrimination that turned into Pittsburgh law. And personally, for being a great friend to both Wendy and myself. Most importantly, I want to thank my spectacular wife, Juliette Ritchie, who supported my family through a very tough few years and continues to inspire me with her grace. Sorry, Dorcas, a second. Sorry, I was doing so good. Lastly, I'd like to thank my mom, Dorcas Evans Miller, who was Wendy's ex-wife and soulmate. She was the catalytic force that Wendy needed to become herself and change Pittsburgh. Dorcas also discovered and acquired the building that would become the frame shop in their home, 6020 Center Avenue. In 1979, Wendy met Dorcas at the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the King's Theater in Oakland. Dorcas was dressed as a Transylvanian in fishnets and leather, and Wendy was dressed as a straight-laced, mild-mannered Bill Miller in the costume of her assigned gender. In 1982, when they moved Miller Frame to the failed urban landscape of Sliberty, they transformed it into the East End we know today. The Miller Frame stamp can be found behind artwork all over Pittsburgh, and some of those were mentioned in the proclamation, just a few. She lived a life of transformation, leaving no heart unchanged by her generosity, bravery, and talent. We chose April 8th because it was the 32nd anniversary of her coming out day to me. Wendy was bedridden, so we didn't expect her to make it downtown. But she talked about dressing up for it, and even wearing a corset to receive this proclamation. Up until the end of her life, she lived by the Transylvanian anthem. Don't dream it, be it. Thank you.
Oh, how do you follow that? I'm Maria Montano. I'm the communications director for the city of Pittsburgh, the official spokeswoman for the city of Pittsburgh, and I'm also an incredibly proud transgender woman, and I have the honor of being the first trans woman to ever do this for the city of Pittsburgh. And I know in my heart and in my soul and in my spirit that I would not be here today doing what I get to do, serving the great city of Pittsburgh, if it was not for Wendy and the legacy she created, not just for me, but for every single one of us in our community that stands on her shoulders. Her work, her life, and her legacy lives every day here at City Hall. It lives in the office of the mayor, where we proudly fly the trans pride flag every single day on that floor, because we are proud to be that administration where something like this, someone like me could serve. And we owe that to Wendy and her life and her legacy. So on behalf of the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh, I want to say thank you for sharing Wendy with us, for sharing your story with us today. I really hope that the media who is in attendance today will share a little bit more. The piece in Cueburg was lovely, but I'll be talking to some reporters about how we can get more of Wendy's life and her story into the media, because this is a story that deserves to be told. This is Pittsburgh history, and I'm so proud to be with you all today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elise DeLong. Boo. We're the scary people that so much of our country has gone crazy over the last few years. We're not that scary. We're people, just like us in this room. And I'm here to talk about Wendy, though. Wendy was, Maria said it right. She was a giant in our community. I would not be here in the absence of Wendy. As a lawyer, I can tell you firsthand, I could give you the discrimination that I've faced trying to survive in this Allegheny County. And it's been difficult. And without Wendy, I certainly would have been dead 25 years ago. Easy, easy. I remember when Coop came to join us as a family, and it wasn't that Wendy and I had a relationship. We were buddies, we were friends, we were colleagues that had a mission. And I'll share with you just one example. When we wrote the legislation dealing with the change of definitions, the definition of sex, back in the 90s, working with Charlie Morrison and that beautiful bunch in the Human Relations Commission, who really went to bat for us. It wasn't the gay community that came to our aid. It was really straight people. It was really people like you. And thank you, thank you, thank you for looking beyond what's that discrimination, that hatred, that really, to me, it's that lack of understanding or lack of humanity or anger, or it's not our fault. You know, it's not like we chose this path. But it's something more or less that today we recognize a person that stood tall, stood proud. And I'm very proud to say I consider myself, just as most people in the gay community, the LGBT community, especially the trans community, we find our families with people that have similar interests to us. I consider Wendy my sister. I consider her my friend. And I am truly honored by the fact that this body would take that step and recognize someone that is so important to all of us. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Raiden Sorak. I had a chance to meet Wendy back in 2011 when I had the honor of serving as the first fellow for the Initiative for Transgender Leadership, thanks to 3 friends, one of whom Jen is here today. And I got a chance just to learn from Wendy, to meet her and Elise, and get a chance just to be in her home and hear about a lot of the work that they had done, a lot of the work that she had done personally, a lot of work that they had done in the city to really pave the way. I was born in the 80s, and I came of age as a transgender person in 2005. And so much has changed over the course of her lifetime. It's incredible, and I was honored to more recently join her in a series of visits to the Penn State Allegheny campus to speak to college students about our experience together. And I really cherish the time that we spent in the car driving there together. I learned a lot about her life and her interests and her relationship with her family members. And then we would show up in this classroom of students and get to tell them just very different ideas about what it could mean to be a transgender person living life and thriving. So I greatly appreciate that. She's been a mentor to me and to many of us.
Hi there. My name is Juliette Ritchie Miller. I'm wife to Cooper Miller. I did just want to say that we will be holding a celebration of life service this Saturday, April 15th at 11 a.m. at the First Unitarian Church. So just wanted to let everyone know that. If you wanted to come and celebrate or share a memory about Wendy, we'll be gathering at that time. Thank you again so much.
I wanted to thank Councilman Kraus, my colleague, for honoring Wendy in this way. Miller Frame is in District 8, right on the borderline, but Wendy was one of the first individuals I met when I was Chief of Staff to then Councilman Dan Gilman. So I just wanted to share that not only was she a trailblazer and a force in the transgender community and the LGBTQIA plus community, she was a force on the street. She was someone who wanted to make the street a better place for everybody, for her customers, who she so graciously welcomed into her store and became, quite a refuge, as I learned from then on. But to anyone who happened to be, a resident and a passerby, someone who she took a lot of pride in the sort of nexus of Shadyside and East Liberty, and I really, really appreciated her advocacy in everything that she did, regardless of who it was for. And she will be missed. We will miss her greatly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judge Hugh McGough, and I'm a family court judge here in Allegheny County. And I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for people like Wendy and her partner Dorcas Evans Miller. In addition to being a frame shop, Wendy's business in East Liberty was a hotbed of political activity. To have a campaign sign in Wendy's window, you had a great advantage among East End voters. She was considered a moral authority on matters of politics, matters of human rights, matters of civil rights. I also want to commend this council because its expansions of civil rights and civil liberties have not been top-down but bottom-up in the United States of America. Civil rights protections were extended by this body to minorities, ethnic minorities, religious minorities, sexual minorities, dating back to the middle of the last century by this body and its Human Rights Commission, which was created in the 40s, I believe, or the 50s. That predated action at the federal or state level extending rights to minorities. And to the extent that this, the civil rights story is about bringing in to the public people who were previously excluded to become members of the body politic, that Pittsburgh City Council was a pioneer in that regard. So I salute you. I am very grateful to have called Wendy and Dorcas friends, and thank you very much.
Good. Has everybody had a chance to speak that wants to speak? All right, then may we have members? Will you join us, please, for the photograph, and we'll take this historic photo. Thank you.
Wendy and I sat on the mayor's council. We saw you downstairs, took off your pin and got it down. I will celebrate this flag. You're the best. Thank you so much. That's really kind of what you guys do. We appreciate it. It's really
Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk. Can we get some pins? They want those city council pins. Do we have any? We have the clerk check. Is that her son? Yeah,
that was her son.
Oh, I'm sure. Wow. Thank you.
Okay, I don't. Because you have other props, right? Sure.
How's the shoulder? I see you're wearing shirts now. I know you.
And I can ask that. Yeah, it's amazing.
So head on the shirt.
It was the best thing I could have done.
I think I did. I told you. I don't believe in rehab. I'm still be rehabbing.
2 years was the prognosis. 2 years of rehab without the surgery.
All that time you spend in rehab.
2 months and 3 days is the surgery.
Look at you. Oh my gosh.
I'm not 100%.
I'm afraid to touch you.
Well, you saw that time I walked the home. And I'm not too limited. But, yeah. They figure, I've never just do my regular exercise. It's non-existent. I hate to say it. And I'm actually able to sleep on the side and all that stuff. So, yeah. Thank you for being so generous.
I buy your stuff from Harvey Farms, so that's good.
A couple people asked for city council pins. Our clerk went back to check.
Yeah, that's a big loss. That's a big. You know, right? New Arbor? No. Oh, that's. Yeah, God, I met.
I need
like
that
said,
hat
Wendy
today, I
through
think.
work. It was not an easy time.
No,
to
I look like Rosie and Bar's mother. And we have.
Carpentry skills. This guy has some carpentry skills. I've seen it firsthand. He does, yeah. You want to do that?
Like, yes.
Oh, did you?
I did.
The gentleman is back.
It never even occurred to me that it was good. I mean, literally, I was like, if anyone would like
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to see you again. I haven't seen you in so long. Okay, and we have one proclamation from Councilwoman Gross to be read into the record. Is Madam Clerk here? Thank you. Yeah, we have one. Councilwoman Gross. We have one proclamation to be read into the record, correct? And one.
Presented, right? I think he left. Okay. I think he left, so we're just going to read it. That's okay. It's totally fine. Oh, you can read it into the record, and I'll make a comment. Thank you.
And then we'll do the will of council
No, no.
after we do Councilman Lavelle's and myself, the bills that you're reading, okay? After we read all the bills into the record, then we'll do her will of council, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. But for Councilwoman Gross, she's asked that you read the whole thing.
No. The will? Yeah. Not the whole thing. They don't have to read the whole thing. They'll read the whole proclamation. Just part of it. Just not the whole thing. Not the whole proclamation. No. Correct. Do you need it? Here's the.
Councilman Wilson and Councilman Lavelle present, be it therefore resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare the week of April 9th through April 16th, 2023 to be What the Muck 10th Anniversary Week here in our city of Pittsburgh.
We have a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamation's approved. And the three for myself to be read into the record, please.
Okay, Council President Cale Smith presents, be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare March 30th, 2023 to be Mr. Bill Marino Day in the City of Pittsburgh. And Council President Cale Smith presents, be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Monday, April 17th, 2023 to be Honorable Christine Donahue Day in the City of Pittsburgh. And she also presents, be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Monday, April 17th, 2023 to be Rich Fitzgerald Day in the City of Pittsburgh. Bless you.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Proclamation is approved. Thank you, thank you, Madam Clerk. And now can we have Councilwoman Gross's read in its entirety, her proclamation?
The proclamation in our entirety.
Right, do you want it in its entirety?
That's fine, Madam President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you. And I just want to interrupt real quick and just thank our clerk's office who are stepping in while our Madam Clerk had to take some time away.
Councilwoman Gross presents, whereas April 11th, 2023 marks the 55th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Act, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which, as amended, pronounces a national policy mandating fair housing opportunities for all citizens regardless of race, color, religion, sex, national origins, disability, familial status, and whereas on December 16th, 1958, Mayor David Lawrence signed the Fair Housing Practices Ordinance into effect, which, as amended, additionally prohibits discrimination in housing on the basis of ancestry, gender identity, gender expression, place of birth, sexual orientation, status of victim of domestic violence, citizenship or immigration status, preferred language or hairstyle, and whereas illegal barriers to equal opportunity in housing, whether subtle or blatant, diminish the right of all rights of all and violate our community's shared and deeply held values of equality and dignity for all. Whereas the Fair Housing Act, Executive Order 12892-59 FR 2939, HUD Final Rule 80 FR 42271, and HUD Final Rule 86 FR 3779 clarified a responsibility of federal and federally funded state and local governments to affirmatively further fair housing and take actions into undo historic patterns of segregation and other types of discrimination and afford access to opportunity that has long been denied. And whereas the Pittsburgh Commission on Human Relations convened the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Task Force, which released 12 recommendations to the City of Pittsburgh for decreasing discrimination and increasing equality in housing. And whereas the city, through the mayor, council, commission, departments of authorities, still works towards achieving the recommendations of the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Task Force and ending housing inequality for its citizens. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh encourages all agencies, institutions, and individuals, public and private, in the City of Pittsburgh to abide by the letter and the spirit of the Fair Housing Law in pursuit of expanding opportunities and improving the quality of life for all. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh commits to make every effort to support the citizens of Pittsburgh and the departments, boards, offices, and authorities of the City of Pittsburgh in their fight to end discrimination in the housing and affirmatively further fair housing. And be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby proclaim April 22nd as Fair Housing Month in the City of Pittsburgh.
We have a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, Councilwoman?
Thank you. I do want to call out the fact that you can find these recommendations from April 2019 on the city website, policy recommendations of the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Task Force. And I think it's interesting for council and the public to see that we've actually started moving on some of them. It's maybe taken us a little while, but for example, one of the recommendations was robust mandatory inclusionary zoning. One of the recommendations that we talk about a lot, and I think we still are trying to make progress on, is making sure that neighborhoods have accessible amenities. Often in public, I say that neighborhoods should have drugstores, dentists, and daycares, just for the sake of alliteration, but that it's harder to live in a neighborhood where you don't have the things that you need on a daily basis. And that is specifically called out here in the citizens' recommendations. But I think we have some room to go on some of the other ones, and but we do keep, in talking about affordable housing, we keep the consideration of fair housing also in front of us. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other members? Did we vote on that? We did, okay. And then we'll move on to our next order of business, which is public comment. I'm sorry, what? Oh, do we need your will of council? I apologize.
That was the proclamation. There is also will of council.
It's the same thing?
It's on the low, long-time owner occupied protections.
Okay.
That we've been trying to move forward at the state. So it's a recommendation to the state House and Senate.
Okay.
I don't know what our protocol is for wills of council.
Let's do it separate. Let's
can-
just do it separate. Can we do it separate, please? Pardon me? It's up to you.
We can just, no, you can summarize it if members are comfortable. That's fine.
Councilmember Gross presents, now therefore be resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh hereby urges the Pennsylvania General Assembly to pass the longtime ownership occupant property tax relief, and be it further resolved that a copy of this will of council be distributed to the Allegheny County delegation of the Pennsylvania General Assembly.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve in a second?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Will of council is approved. Thank you. And now that moves on to our next order of business, which is public comment. Can't find my glasses. I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before city council. Threats and profanity will not be permitted. When you are called to speak, please state your name and neighborhood for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is Renee Wilson. Renee Wilson? Is she online? No? No Renee Wilson. Okay, our next registered speaker is Naomi Mullen. Naomi Mullen? No? Is she on? She is? Okay. Good morning, Naomi.
Here, I honor my husband, and I also am proud that he was a true City of Pittsburgh public servant from the 1970s until 2021. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. This is for you, Michael. We, the people of Bon Air, are the real stakeholders. We have paid our mortgages, taxes, and voted. We have shown up at the town hall meeting to give a resounding no to developing the building. We have signed a petition to say we want a green space, not a building. We have property value and quality of life to protect. According to the Pennsylvania Constitution, the purpose of government is for the peace, safety, and happiness of the people they serve. The Bon Air Memorial Green Space is the solution for the peace, safety, and happiness of the Bon Air community. Without that, there is no valid governance. Here's the situation. 1, an excellent school is closed. 2, the building has become a threat and detrimental harm. 3, it should be condemned and sold to the city for $1. 4, it must be torn down. 5, parks and trees Pittsburgh funds used to make it a green space. 6, the residents of Bon Air care for it as volunteers. Why are we paying taxes for continued detriment? Why should we pay taxes for a detriment? We do not consent to a detrimental building remaining to decay the community we have built and maintained. Former Mayor Peduto was defeated and left in disgrace. He appointed a panel that claimed the Bon Air Elementary building should remain. We, the people of Bon Air, have driven past former school buildings and heard the stories of human feces in the hall and criminal acts around those buildings. We, the people, say no to any use of the school except as a green space. Retired Deputy Chief Mike Mullen touched the lives of many people. His uncompromising dedication to his sworn duty to provide for the safety of the citizens of Pittsburgh was truly exceptional and one that should be emulated by every firefighter. He loved sharing his knowledge of firefighting in all its many aspects to make our firefighters safer, smarter, and more efficient on the fire ground. Mike knew most of the firefighters on the entire Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire by their first name and was always approachable regardless of rank. If you had a question, he would stop what he was doing to answer it tirelessly, but also energetically his entire career in pursuit of more knowledge. His legacy will serve our citizens and firefighters for years to come. Michael J. Mullen lived a full life as his obituary so accurately described. Mike was passionate, tireless, dedicated, highly conscientious, and caring. Well done, Michael. Well done. Rest in peace, my friend. Thank you, Douglas Praskovich, for writing that. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last registered speaker is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller. Dr. Miller.
Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller, Bell Silver, GIS candidate for president 2024, Global Intelligence Society.org. I founded the Center for Global Studies, International Interdisciplinary in 1999. It's a PA corporation. CGSII fuses disciplinary intelligences and information matrices from 21 primary disciplines. The Global Intelligence Society, which I founded in 2010, is the public policy extension of the CGSII, which uses this framework to solve problems. One of those problems is public safety. Between 2009 and 2013, informed by Global Intelligence, I urged City Council to pass law to protect local innovation in all of these disciplines and to protect us from negative consequences. The law on biological genetic activities, Pittsburgh City Council public comment, 21 December 2009, law on brain neural system activities, PCC-PC, 21 July 2010. Law on psychological activities, PCC-PC, 1 September 2010. Law on chemical olfactory activities, PCC-PC, 29 September 2010. Law on code-linguistic activities, PCC-PC, 6 October 2010. Law on sociological activities, PCC-PC, 13 October 2010. Law on mathematical activities, PCC-PC, 14 October 2010, law on musicological oral activities, PCC-PC, 21 October 2010, law on economic activities, PCC-PC, 12 June 2013, law on geological activities, PCC, public comment, 6 March 2011, law on geographical activities, PCC-PC, 15 June 2011, law on historical activities, PCC-PC, 3 June 2013, law on virtual artificial activities, PCC-PC, 8 June 2011, law on visual studies, PCC-PC, 26 July 2011, law on political activities, PCC public comment, 8 November 2010, law on physical activities, activities in physics, PCC-PC, 22 June 2011, law on philosophical activities, PCC-PC, 20 July 2011, law on religious activities, PCC-PC, 27 October 2010, law on astronomical activities, PCC-PC, 23 July 2011, law on anthropological activities, PCC, public comment, 27 July 2011, and law on international interrelational activities, PCC, public comment, 19 October 2011. This is unprecedented in our history.
That exhausts our list of registered speakers. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address City Council in chambers? Good morning. Please state your name and neighborhood for the record.
My name is Paul Harris. I'm from the Hill District.
Thank you.
I'm going to start out with a prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. I'm starting at the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants things which must shortly take place. He and the angel to his servant John, who bore the witness to the word of God and to the testimony of Jesus Christ, to all the things that he saw. Blessed is he who reads and hears the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written, for the time is near. And from Jesus Christ, a faithful witness from the firstborn from the dead, ruler over the kings of the earth, to him who loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and has made us kings and priests to his God and Father. To him glory and dominion forever and ever. Behold, he is coming with clouds, and every eye will see him, even they who pierced him, and all tribes will mourn because of him. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, who is, who was, and who is to come, the Almighty. I, John, your brother and companion in the tribulation and kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was on the island called Patmos for the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and I heard a voice behind me, loud as a trumpet, saying, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. What you see, write it in a book and send it to the 7 churches which are in Asia, to Ephesus, to Smyrna, to Pergamos, to Thyatira, to Sardis, to Philadelphia, and to Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spoke with me, and I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the middle of 7 lampstands was one like a son of man. You think it's funny? This is for real. You see what's happening in the world today? The Bible is written for our learning, not for destruction. I'm trying to save you people. Every man living and dead got my blood in him. The word of God from the beginning to the end. Thank you.
Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Are there any further speakers?
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street. That's up in the Hill District in the high rise at the top of the hill. Now, I've been bringing these papers back and forth, but today I wanted to take and do a show and tell by Yvonne F. Brown. But first, before I do, I want to let you know that when I was sitting back there, the woman says, oh, when are they going to start? This was after 10. I said, well, 10:30, usually they start. She says, oh my. She says, it's already $40 for us to park. You just think you're doing something. When you have all these people standing, we walk down or take a bus, so we don't count. So you got all these people standing and they talk for 10 or 15 minutes over in the corner. But if we say something, you'll chase us out. If I start to say testing, everybody out of here. Because the room was not in order. Not in order. You don't keep order. I also want you to know that. Remember, November the 7th, I came in. I had a sign that said that your vote counts. And under there was Fetterman. I had it on a stand. I'm sitting back there next to me. Sitting is the sign. Now, November the 7th is the day that my son was killed, let die. So I'm sitting there, I'm in my own thing, thinking and praying to myself. And I see Burgess see me with the sign. I could see the way he looked. And then he started coming, he had his hand, and he started hollering, you! And that's when I said, Mr. Burgess, get back up there. This is proclamation time. Get up there. You're supposed to be up in the front. And I ran away from him. I ran because I didn't want to holler at him. Do you understand? He had nothing to do with my son dying. But when I asked him as a councilman to write a letter to the Justice Department, because every time Ms. Smith would speak about her people in her community, she would say, they want you to speak for them, because he'd be talking about the injustice. I just asked him, please, will you help me write a letter? He said, see Sean. Well, I didn't go to Sean, because Sean called me a liar when I said there was this asbestos up there in Northview. And when and he said I was a liar, but I brought the asbestos to Miss Smith. Miss Smith, you remember you telling me that the health department was getting ready to isolate that you couldn't get back in your office because I brought the asbestos that they told me it wasn't up there. I want you to understand, I'm not coming down here for myself. But some of these things I was saying, show and tell, I forgot. Okay, these are things signs that I made. When they had a thing for August Wilson up in the neighborhood, they had nothing free for the people, nothing. Children, not even water. It was the last day of the month, and the children were hungry, and they had hot dogs, $2, different prices they're on here. I just wanted to say, Who profited outside vendors? Where was the vendors from the Hill Districts? None from the Hill. I have to go, but you just need to do better.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
$40 per cart.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Are there any further speakers in the chambers wishing to address City Council? Seeing no further speakers, we'll move on to our next order of business, which is the presentation of papers, and we'll begin with Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, Chair of Human Resources. Councilman Burgess?
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Anthony Coghill presents Bill 1407, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to enter into an agreement or agreements with Gaumard for the purchase of specialized medical training mannequins at a total cost not to exceed $152,468.96.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman Kraus, Chair of Public Works and Infrastructure.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Lavelle, Chair of Finance and Law.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman R. Daniel Lavelle presents Bill 1408, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Reisinger, Comer, and Miller, LLC, for legal services in connection with a police litigation for an amount not to exceed $15,683.90.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilwoman Warwick, Chair of Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology. Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And myself, Chair of Hearings, I have 4 informing appointments. Madam Clerk, let's take the informing first, and then the communication, then we'll do the one appointment, please.
Councilwoman Teresa Kell Smith presents Bill 1409, resolution informing council of the appointment of Vidya Surti as a member of the City-County Task Force on Disabilities for a term concurrent with the mayor. Bill 1410, a resolution informing council of the appointment of Tess Daly as a member of the City-County Task Force on Disabilities for a term concurrent with the mayor. Bill 1411, resolution informing council on the appointment of T. Sana Jones as a member of the City-County Task Force on Disabilities for a term concurrent with the mayor. And Bill 1412.
I'm sorry, 1412, go ahead.
Resolution informing council of the appointment of Takina White as Assistant Director, Operations and Policy, Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I have a motion to read, receive, and file?
So moved, Madam President.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. That's approved. And then can we have one communication? Huh? Pardon me? We'll do that after we do the communication.
Councilwoman Teresa Kell Smith also presents Bill 1414, a communication from Jake Pollock, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, submitting acting pay requests on behalf of EMS for Amira Gilchrist, the Department of Innovation and Performance for Zoe Burns, and the Department of Public Works for John Minard and Mike Schmidt, per the acting pay policy revised in June 2018.
Can I have a motion to read, receive, and file?
Moved, Madam President.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's approved. And then the last one appointment.
Bill 1413, a resolution appointing Pedro Quintanilla as a member of the Planning Commission for a term set to expire January 1st, 2028.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to interview, please?
Motion to hold for interview.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll get that scheduled. Thank you. And now we'll move on to any unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before City Council? Seeing none, we'll now move on to reports of committee for final action. And we'll begin with Councilman Lavelle, Committee on Finance and Law.
Madam President?
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Daniel Lavelle presents Bill 1401, Report of the Committee on Finance and Law for April 5th, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1354, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Poise Foundation to assist in supporting the arts and related production services for the 2023 and 2024 Western Pennsylvania Juneteenth homecoming celebrations for a sum not to exceed $250,000 over 2 years and for the payment of the costs thereof. Also, Bill 1355, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Dickey, McCamey, and Chilcott, P.C., for legal services in connection with a police litigation matter for an amount not to exceed $6,662.50. Also, Bill 1356, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Marley Champine in the amount of $2,750 in settlement of a claim for damage to her parked vehicle near 2414 Eccles Street from a city environmental services vehicle on February 24th, 2022. Bill 1357, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Max Petrunia, P.C., in the amount of $225,000 in settlement of litigation filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Bill 1358, a resolution further amending Resolution Number 723 of 2022, effective December 27th, 2022, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2023 Capital Budget, the 2023 Community Development Program, and the 2023 through 2028 Capital Improvement Program by increasing Beaver Avenue Esplanade tip by $250,000. Bill 1359, a resolution further amending Resolution Number 647 of 2020, effective December 23rd, 2020, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2021 Capital Budget and the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2021 through 2026 Capital Improvement Program by decreasing McFerrin Street, 2nd Avenue Bridge by $87,400, increasing bridge upgrades by $77,400, and increasing Smithfield Street by $50,000. Bill 1360, resolution authorizing, pursuant to Chapter 10, acceptance of gifts to the city, of the city code, the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety to accept a donation from Ameriserve $5,000 to purchase smoke detectors for residents of the city of Pittsburgh. Bill 1363, a resolution authorizing, pursuant to Chapter 210, acceptance of gifts to the city, of the city code, the mayor and the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation to accept a donation from King Street Production in the amount of $5,000 for the Ammon Recreation Center and Pool Art Mural. And Bill 1399, a resolution to approve the reporting forms for Stop the Violence and Group Violence Intervention pursuant to Chapter 237.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilman Bruce Kraus, Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Bruce A. Kraus presents on the committee Bill 1402, report of the Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure for April 5th, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1351, resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement or agreements with Norfolk Southern for costs associated with the repairs of the South Negley Avenue Bridge, where the city would be responsible for certain aspects of the work as described in Exhibit B for reimbursement to Norfolk Southern thereof, not to exceed a total of $21,868. Also, Bill 1352, a resolution providing for an amended reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary engineering, final design, and utility phases of the Smithfield Street reconstruction project, and providing for the payment of costs thereof not to exceed $9,270,000, an increase of $190,000 from the previously executed agreement, reimbursable at 80%, and the municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs not to exceed $47,000, a $0 increase from the previously executed agreement. Bill 1353, a resolution providing for a reimbursement agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the study phase of the Beaver Avenue Esplanade project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $250,000. This resolution serves to authorize only the reimbursement agreement at no cost to the City of Pittsburgh. Future resolutions will authorize the project's specific service agreements. Bill 1396, an ordinance amending and supplementing the City Code at Title VI, Conduct, Article 1, Regulated Rights and Actions by adding a new Chapter 610 entitled Prohibition on Use of Certain Bags and Checkout Bag Charge, to permit the use of only certain bags by retail establishments at the point of sale or for a delivery, and establishing a charge payable by the customer to the establishment for the provision of the other types of bags, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. You've heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Mrs. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. That moves us on to Councilman Bobby Wilson, Committee on Land Use and Economic Development. Councilman?
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Bobby Wilson presents Bill 1403, report of the Committee on Land Use and Economic Development for April 5th, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1372, resolution further amending Resolution Number 797 of 2017, effective December 28th, 2017, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2018 Capital Budget and the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2018 through 2023 Capital Improvement Program by amending various public service grant line items and authorizing a subsequent agreement or agreements. Bill 1373, resolution further amending Resolution Number 863 of 2018, effective January 1st, 2019, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2019 Capital Budget and the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2019 through 2024 Capital Improvement Program by amending various public service grant line items and authorizing a subsequent agreement or agreements. And Bill 1374, resolution further amending Resolution Number 886 of 2021, effective December 21st, 2021, as amended, entitled Resolution adopting and approving the 2022 capital budget and the 2022 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2022 through 2027 Capital Improvement Program by amending various public service grant line items and authorizing a subsequent agreement or agreements.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Erica Strasburger presents Bill 1404, Report of the Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services for April 5th, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1364, a resolution providing for an agreement or agreements, leases, and/or license agreements for the use of certain property for senior facilities for the provision of center services to seniors in an amount not to exceed $15,200, chargeable to and payable from the Seniors Community Trust Fund in the Department of Parks and Recreation. Bill 1365, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of Parks and Recreation to enter into a sponsorship agreement for the Cinema in the Park Summer Film Series. Bill 1366, a resolution authorizing the Department of Parks and Recreation to enter into a community partner access agreement or agreements with the Macedonia Church of Pittsburgh at no cost for use of the Ammon Community Center in order to provide a teen enrichment program to meet once a month on the third Sunday of the month, starting in April of 2023. Bill 1367, a resolution amending Resolution 662 of 2020, authorizing the Department of Parks and Recreation, Office of Special Events, to enter on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh into a professional services agreement or agreements with Pittsburgh Three Rivers Marathon, Inc., to provide management services for the Richard S. Caligiuri City of Pittsburgh Great Race in order to extend the term of the agreement through 2023. Bill 1369, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of the Port Authority of Allegheny County, 345 6th Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15222, in an amount not to exceed $10,483 for transportation services provided for the 2022 City of Pittsburgh Richard S. Caligiuri Great Race on September 25th, 2022. And Bill 1370, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of Parks and Recreation to enter into sponsorship agreements for the City of Pittsburgh Independence Day Festival.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle? Aye. Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilwoman Barbara Warwick, Committee on Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology. Councilwoman? Thank you.
Councilwoman Barbara Warwick presents Bill 1405, a report on the Committee on Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology for April 5th, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1371, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into startup participation agreements with selected entities as part of the cohorts of PGH Lab, and further authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into program participation agreements with local municipal entities to allow such entities to test products and services through PGH Lab.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. The bill, having received the legally required number of votes, is finally passed. And that moves us on to our last committee of the day, Councilwoman Deborah Gross, Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Deborah L. Gross presents Bill 1406, Report on the Committee of Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs for April 5th, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1349, Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for Miller School Residences, LLC, Miller School Residences, 335 Miller Street, City of Pittsburgh, Ward 3. And Bill 1350, Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 2932 Wiley Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15219.
You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle? Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. The bills, having received the legally required number of votes, are finally passed. And that moves us on to motions and resolutions. I have a few meeting announcements. This afternoon at 1:30, Council will hold a cablecast post-agenda discussion on foster care unification and reunification, CYF, chaired by myself. And it will be a series of some of the post-agendas we'll be doing and public hearings on mental health. We started this back in 2014, and just every year just trying to increase getting services to our residents. Tomorrow, Wednesday, April 11th, Council Standing Committee's meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m. here in Chambers, chaired by Councilman Lavelle. Also, tomorrow afternoon, Council will hold a cablecast post-agenda discussion at 1:30 p.m. and a cablecast public hearing at 2:30 p.m. on the Spin e-scooter pilot program, both chaired by Councilwoman Warwick. And on Thursday, April 13th at 10 a.m., Council will hold a cablecast public hearing on Bills 2023-1313 and 2023-1314 as they relate to reopening the 2023 budget. To register to speak at these meetings and hearings, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage or call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Speaker registration will close at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for that meeting. Is there anything from members? I'm just going to just say briefly that first we offer our condolences to our clerk, who's really going through a really difficult time right now. And I want to thank members for always ready to step up to the plate to ask if anybody needs anything or how we can get through this. So thank you all for all your help and support through this. But I also want to acknowledge that we have an amazing backup clerk staff that is always here to help us through every difficult time. So I want to thank you all very much for the work that you do every day for all of us. With that said, just a little comment about the bill about paying Port Authority for the shuttle services for a regional program, a regional event is the marathon. Yeah. And I just think that we are part of, one of the reasons I don't like the idea of not having the city of Pittsburgh, or the city of Pittsburgh merge into the county, as all the boroughs merging into one, is because I'm fearful of what it means for the city of Pittsburgh. And every time something comes before us where the city of Pittsburgh's paying for a service that others either may get for free, or maybe we should have some further conversations, it makes me anxious about what that means for the city of Pittsburgh should something like that ever come to fruition. I really think that, the Pittsburgh Regional Transit, now that they're calling themselves Pittsburgh, we're getting a lot more calls about it too, I will say that. So if it's going to be called Pittsburgh Regional Transit, I hope that they'll serve Pittsburgh a little bit differently. And with that said, I'm also going to talk a little bit about, over the weekend, we've heard a lot of stuff going on in the city of Pittsburgh, and one of the things we heard about was the possibility of a new chief of police coming forward. I just want to be clear to the public, I've said this before, and I said it today on the radio. We do not have a name. Council is hearing just reports from the media about who it may or may not be. Until a name comes over from the administration, we are just talking about speculation at this point. And so with that said, I'm hoping that we can work together with the administration to put somebody forth for the city of Pittsburgh, for our officers, for our residents, and for the city as a whole, that will serve the city of Pittsburgh the best they possibly can, and what's good for the city of Pittsburgh. With that said, is there anything else from members? But I do want to say I anticipate us working with the administration through this. So seeing nothing else from members, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, approve the minutes, and excuse the absent member, and adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, I messed that up a little bit. Thanks, everyone. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.